Mike, help me. Help me. You know how to help me.
Adrian, where are you? This is not a story I tell people all the time because people would think I'm lying or I'm delusional. To this day, I'm very careful about who I talk to about the story, but this is a fact. This is something that happened to me. This experience happened to me in the early 80s in Los Angeles, California. I was an actor, struggling actor, just trying to figure out how to make a career. A real go of it. People who know me know that I always stopped by my mom's house a couple times a week. So one day I actually give her a call. She doesn't answer the phone. So I stopped by and my mom met me outside her house and told me to get back in the car and go home. It was really weird that I was like, "Mama, you okay?" She was like, "Yeah, maybe I'm fine. Just get back in the car and go home. I'll talk to you later. Call me when you get home." So I called her when I got home and she just said everything was fine. So a couple days later, I stopped by her house and again, she met me outside and said, "Get back in the car and go home." I'm like, "Mom, what's going on? Are you okay?" "I'm fine, thank you. You cannot be here now." I'm like, "Is somebody bothering you?" No, she said. "Baby, just get in the car. If you see any of your friends, don't stop. Just go home." I asked my mother if there was anyone in the house and she said, "No, Mama wants you to go home." I was tempted on this second occasion to push my way past her and go in the house to see if everything was okay, but I would never disrespect my mom, so I got in the car and I went home. A couple of days go by and my phone rings. It's my mom. She asked me if I could come and see her. I'm like, "Yeah, Mama, you okay?" She's like, "When can you get here?" So I said, "I can leave now." Santa Monica driving to LA right near LAX. And I have butterflies in my stomach because I'm like, what is going on? What's wrong with my mother? I'm waiting for any kind of bad news. I was actually trembling in the car, driving to my mom's house. So I get to her house. She lets me in this time. Something was definitely wrong. It was so thick in the air that you could cut it with a knife. And I just had to try and stop myself from shaking because my nerves were on edge. So at the time, there were some guys in the neighborhood I had grown up with. One of the kids' names was Adrienne. We were best friends. And Adrienne always found a way to do things the wrong way. I will always forgive him for a lot of the dumb stuff that he did, because he did a lot of stuff that didn't make sense. He was the kind of kid who would go off and do some dirt on his own and come back. And you'd see that he had a new watch or a new necklace or something. It seemed like something was driving him to do wrong. And even when you snapped him out of it, he couldn't tell you why he did it. He was a couple years older than I was. But I always could find a way to talk him into doing the right thing, because I knew even then what karma was all about. I understood that spiritual law, that what goes around always comes around. We sit down, and my mom says, "I'm sorry to tell you that Adrian got killed last night. His cousins shot him and killed him in the middle of the street." I was just stunned. And she said, "He had been by here looking for you, and I saw death on him." My mom and grandmother could see spirits. They could see death on a person before death collected their spirit. My mom did not want our paths, Adrienne and I, for those few days to cross, because she saw the spirit of death on him so strong that she knew there was nothing she could do to turn back to tide. It was collection time, and he was definitely going to die soon. So I was like, "Well, Mom, maybe I could have helped change his path. Maybe there was nothing you could have done," she said. The spirit was on him too strong, and his time was up. I go back to my apartment in Santa Monica and am really disturbed over the whole thing. I sat in disbelief for a long time and just kept rehearsing in my head what if I had seen him and what if things had been different. I call my girlfriend and she comes over, and we have dinner. This is the following evening. Just as we start dinner, the phone rings. And my girlfriend answers the phone. "Hello? Hello?" All the color went out of her face when the person on the other side of the phone spoke to her. I knew something was wrong. "What's wrong?" She's stunned. "A collect call from Adrian," she said. "Come on, that's one of my brothers. That's one of my boys playing. This is not the time to play around like that because I'm really upset about it." So I take the phone and I say, "Hello." The voice on the other side of the phone was the voice I knew all of my life from childhood. This was my friend, Adrian. He called me Mike. There are only 3 or 4 people in my life who call me Mike because I hate being called that. And right off the bat, I knew his voice. It was him. "Adrian?" And he said, Mike, help me, help me. You know how to help me." And I was like, "Adrian, where are you?" He said, They're trying to take me inside. I ran away. Help me. You've got to help me right now before they get back." Then I can hear all these voices screaming at him for being on the phone. I can hear a sound behind him that sounds like I'm only reminded of when I'm near a roaring fireplace or a barbecue pit. But it was magnified. I could hear people screaming and arguing with him. And then I could hear him begin to fight. And I could hear that he was overpowered. And he kept screaming,
No, let me go. No. I'm not going. I'm not going.
"Adrian, where are you?" And he was screaming in my name.
Mike.
The phone just went dead. The sound dissipated, and that was it. I stood there for minutes. It's very haunting to be on the phone with a person that you can't help, and I talked it over with my girlfriend. She told me to call the operator and see if the operator could put a trace on the number. I tried that. That didn't happen. But the operator told me it should be reflected on my bill if it was a collect call. When the phone bill came, I knew the date, the time, everything. There was nothing on my phone bill to reflect that telephone call. But my girlfriend, Kimberly, was there. I was there. And I was not hallucinating. I don't do drugs. I barely drink. This was a phone call that I received from the other side, and they made contact with me through a telephone. He kept saying that I knew how to help him, and to this day, I'm still baffled as to exactly what he meant. I really don't know how I could have helped him. I really don't. I wish I did, but I don't. The phone call was a message to me because I was taught that hell is a real place. I now know that the spirit world is very real. But I would just say, don't be afraid. Just make sure that you walk in the light. That's it. That's the only protection you have.